Welcome back to Creator Codes. I am so excited for this episode because actually it was something that happened yesterday, a profound realization, a big old download, a big old feeling of an expansion of my consciousness that came through. And it was actually a very emotional day. So I will say that allowing my emotions to move through was pivotal for this to happen. So if you have yet to listen to the episode all about the emotional body, definitely recommend that because that was literally the catalyst for what moved through me yesterday and for the inspiration for this episode. So I've actually been wanting to do an episode on the law of reflections, but I just haven't. And I think that this episode is going to be really profound because of this download that I had. And it's like the next level of this law that really hit me real good. And I think this is the juice of this law that, it's so interesting. I've been working with the law of reflections for quite some time now. But when things just happen and they hit at a totally different level, well, that's what happened with this. And so, what is the law of reflections to start? And then I'll get into what happened yesterday and this big realization. So, the law of reflection states that life is always reflecting back to you who you are, your thoughts, your beliefs, your patterns through your external reality. And alternate phrases or terms for the law of reflection is the mirror principle. Life is a mirror. The next one is the outer world as a reflection of the inner world. Another one is your reality is feedback. A psychological perspective is projection theory, which explains how we project our inner beliefs or wounds onto people. It's like slightly different, but from a psychology standpoint, that's what a psychologist would call it. Maybe, being in resonance or a vibrational match to something, because we can only be a match with something if we are carrying it from within. So if we have it within, that's why we're experiencing it without. Or the echo of self. I love that. And our reality is really just echoing who we are. So let's get into the law of reflection as far as this deepening of it that I've realized. But before I do, I just really want to emphasize the importance of this law and how it's literally always at play. So I have posted on social media about this. I've talked about it probably throughout almost every episode because this podcast is called Creator Codes. And so if there are certain things that we are creating in our reality, it's because of our creator field. Our creative field is made up of our thoughts, our beliefs, and it's not just like our conscious beliefs, our subconscious beliefs, right? Our patterns, our actions, our emotions and feelings. It's all of us that's creating this electromagnetic field that literally is the script for other people and the way they treat us and the way that reality is being reflected back to us. So if there's something funky going on in the creator field, you'll experience something funky from someone or something else outside of you to show you that, because ultimately when we take that responsibility and know that we are always creating our reality, we can shift it whenever there's something weird or yuck that we are ready to shift. And so that's what happened yesterday. Is something came up in my outer reality that felt so uncomfortable. And it was a very emotional day, and I let these emotions move through. And as I was doing so, I was actually talking to my sister. And what came up was around my brother's diagnosis. If you didn't know, he was diagnosed with lymphoma. He's 36 years old, and it was a big shock to the family, of course. And he just went through his first week of chemo. And so this it brought up a lot in me. I talk about this in the last episode as well, as far as the spiritual ego goes, which actually helped me unlock, I feel like, I I don't know, like my mind or something to download what I'm about to share that happened. So I highly recommend that episode as well. But what happened was I was talking to my sister and we were talking about how it's just interesting to be in this position that we never thought we would be in and feel like this kind of need and desire for like love and compassion from other people as far as what we are going through as Anthony's family. And in a way, it almost feels like selfish to like ask for love and compassion because it's not us that's going through it, but we are going through it. It feels like grief. Like it feels like I'm dealing with grief, even though he's still with us. And it's not like, he's dealing with it really well, but there's been a lot of ups and downs already. And it's been a very short amount of time. A lot of ups and downs, like really scary stuff. And so anyways, it just felt like this feeling of like, I want to have this compassion and this love. And it doesn't feel like I'm receiving it in a way that feel like it doesn't seem like it's there as much as I want it to be there. And I realized through this desire and like speaking about it and crying about it that there's a reason for me not feeling like I am receiving the love and compassion that I desire. And what came up was a memory. What came up was a friend who I basically, I guess I want to say abandoned. It feels like a strong word, but that's kind of what it was. When she needed me the most, I was not there for her. And when I look back at it, it's very gradual and it's also hard for me to remember. It's not like a clear memory, but it's more of the subconscious gathering of all of this judgment that I have for myself about how I was towards this person. And there's a lot that suddenly just like came to the surface through what I'm experiencing in this challenging time. And it's a beautiful thing to have these lessons presented. But it came through very clear that this right now, this reflection of life, feeling like a lack of support and love and like compassion, it's because of something I'm holding against myself due to me not giving love and compassion towards someone else. And this was literally years ago. So how interesting that in our creator field, we hold these subconscious memories and beliefs and stories about ourselves that literally play out again and again and again. These are the patterns. And so this pattern is showing itself in a way where I am currently in the present moment not feeling like I'm receiving this love and compassion that I would want. And it's because I did not give it to a friend in the past, and I actually hold judgment. I have held judgment towards myself for not giving that to her and for not actually dealing with it to her, with myself, just repressing. It was very much, I will say, the spiritual ego that took over. And I made excuses of like, oh, we're just growing apart and our lives are different and this and that. But ultimately, I did not take responsibility for my lack of showing up. I just didn't. I kind of created excuses and like did not deal. And that was another thing, another reflection that came up with my brother is at first when he was diagnosed, and everyone deals in different ways, but you know how it's so easy to see in other people. I'm like, he's disassociating or he's not dealing with it. And look how easy it was for me to just see that so clearly. But that right there was a reflection for me, because that wouldn't come up and that wouldn't trigger me even 1% if it wasn't something that I was holding for myself or in myself, as far as the way I have responded to or am responding to things right now. And so the way I've been using the law of reflection has been very much so what I'm responsible for in my life right now. And although I have spoken about this so many times in the Signs Simple Synchronicity podcast episode, where when these things show up in your outer reality, they're reflecting your subconscious, you're creating them to show you what you're holding, this hit in a different way. It felt so profound because of the real life example of what was coming through, of what I was experiencing, and really reflecting on this. And it didn't even take that much reflection. It kind of came up immediately for me. It felt like my higher self was like, she's ready to deal with this. And I am. And I'm excited because I'm going to write a letter, and I just feel more peace just recognizing this in myself. I feel like that right there is a big piece that a lot of us don't even feel has a lot of power. It's more of like, how do I heal whatever is underneath? But I don't know what is underneath. It's like, yeah, we all hold all these stories and things, but when we can use our outer reality, and outer reality is also our physical body, right? It's also the certain triggers that we experience and feel in our body. That is something that will show us in the physical reality that there's a discomfort. So there's something underneath the surface in the subconscious, aka in the body. So the body really holds a lot of let me read this here. The subconscious mind isn't just in your head, it's actually stored throughout your body. Your nervous system, your cellular memory, your muscles, and even your posture can carry the imprints of past experiences, beliefs, traumas, and emotional reactions. When something happens to you, especially something emotionally charged, if you don't fully process it in the moment, it doesn't disappear. Your body stores it. Your body remembers, which is a big part of the subconscious mind, or I don't know, is it the subconscious mind or a big part of the subconscious mind? So your body has been conditioned over time through repetition, emotion, trauma, and routine to carry out subconscious programs without needing you to think about them. That's why you might intellectually feel like you've moved on, but your life still reflects the same old patterns. Your body hasn't caught up yet. So that is interesting. Your life still reflects the same old patterns. That is the law of reflections, even something from the past. So it's so profound because I was like, whoa, okay. So according to quantum physics, time actually is not linear. And in fact, time does not exist. So if that's true, then that means there is what? Only the present. So if there is something that has happened that has not been fully processed, fully dealt with, and we don't want to overwhelm ourselves with what that is or how to deal with it, because we'll talk about how to deal with this. It doesn't have to be complicated. Then this can be reflected right now. And I feel like I am truly ready to deal with this at this point of my journey, at this point in my consciousness. I can actually chew on this and take responsibility. It feels like I don't know, even looking back at myself, it's like with compassion, I clearly made certain decisions so I can learn this lesson, but also I hurt other people in the process, including myself. And so I believe the definition of freedom and true healing is releasing judgment. So you can be in the unconditional love state, which is our natural state. Our natural state. That's like a newborn baby who has not been tainted by the world with these programs and all of these past things. I mean, we can talk about past lives in another episode. But regardless, it is kind of like that newborn baby feeling of just being free to be anything that we want to be, to cry anytime, to express in any way that feels natural. Think about babies, how they just move their faces and we think it's so cute. But suddenly one day we wake up as an adult and it's like, no, we have to look a certain way, be a certain way. And then all of these things that we want, that want to move through us, it's just, we don't let it. Especially when it comes to the spiritual ego or just the ego in general, of wanting to feel like you're making the right decision, that you're not, that you haven't done things to hurt others. You know, I mean, that's just my example. Especially being someone who's on this path. I'm going to pour myself some tea as I'm talking here. I didn't want to admit that I maybe had made some mistakes or could have done some things differently, but rather I chose the story of we're just growing apart, whatever it was. They just don't understand me. I'm just not understood. So with love and compassion for myself, it's really about finding the forgiveness for what I chose in the past, and not, even though I wouldn't choose what I chose back then, now, I can find the compassion for myself now. Because even though I was seemingly making a choice that was great for myself and just like not, quote unquote, not knowing what I was doing, I did know what I was doing. And so it's like admitting to that, and then also releasing the judgment on top of that, and then releasing the judgment on top of that for not dealing with it. Like there's so many layers. So it's really interesting to learn at a whole new level that the law of reflections is not just reflecting what you are thinking or doing right now. It's mirroring what your body and subconscious are holding on to even from years ago. And like I said, this really hit me, and it feels like it's shifting a lot as far as the way I'm viewing this law, because I use this law like every day. But for some reason, this had to happen for me to really feel into how we can be reflected things from so long ago. And you can consciously feel healed, but your body might still be holding on to an old pattern, and life will reflect that stored energy until it is released, until it is moved through, until it is loved. So just because something is showing up now doesn't mean it is about right now. Profound, right? It literally can be an echo. Like you're witnessing an echo from a version of you that still lives in your nervous system. So how wild is that? It's like all of these timelines are existing at the same time. All the versions of us are existing at the same time, right? When we go back to the quantum field. So if there's something, this is why I've said, like, if you look at your past, like you don't like it, you don't approve of it, it's something that grosses you out, you think it was wrong, you think you were wrong or bad, you're going to create more of that in your future. Like, period. Because again, the past and the future don't exist. So if we're thinking that at all about ourselves, we're creating that now. Creator codes. This is a big code right here. So if there's something you're creating, first of all, it's taking responsibility. Going back to like Creator Codes 101, taking responsibility for creating everything in your life. And when you do that and you see, oh, why am I creating right now in my reality a lack of support? Oh, it's because that's what I still hold on to. It was something very, it was something challenging in the past that I didn't really even like give attention to. It was something challenging that I was dealing with because I didn't actually deal with it. And so maybe it wasn't challenging. It was challenging for my subconscious at the time because it stored in me because of the way that I did not deal. Something I was repressing that wanted to move through. A conversation that wanted to be had. An honest conversation with myself and that friend that really wanted to be had. But I didn't, because my spiritual ego, because of whatever story I told myself to just, bypass that. Toxic positivity, anyone? Again, I can easily see that in other people. So what does that say about myself? And I'm not saying this in a judgmental way towards myself. That is so key, literally so key, is releasing that judgment. So what do we do with this when this comes up? Instead of being reactive, get curious. Because that's what happened when I was on the phone with my sister. And I brought this up from this person that she knows as well. And she agreed with me and said, yeah. But not in a way that was like, yeah, you did something wrong. She just kind of like agreed with my thought. And it almost triggered me, but like I was already triggering myself. So I was just like, I'm going to roll with this. And it didn't. It actually just reiterated this whole, what I'm talking about in this whole episode, of how something from the past that I literally have not thought about consciously, but it's been living in me. And I have thought about it consciously here and there. It's not something that has gone away completely and it's like, oh, surprise, like not fully, if I'm going to be honest. But when it was verified by someone else too, I was like, okay, this is definitely something not to be mad at myself about, but to just get curious and to look at and to forgive myself for. And ask for forgiveness from my friend as well. And so again, like get curious and ask when you feel that trigger come up, like where does this live in my body? And you can feel it. It might feel like your throat is constricting. You might feel it in your hands or your head or your chest, or maybe your stomach or your legs. And just feel that and witness that, because this is how we can transmute this energy, but not to transmute it, to love it, to give it attention. And you can also ask, what memory or belief might this be tied to if you're not sure? For me, it was like obvious. But I know a lot of times there's certain things that we get triggered about, and it's like, I don't even know where this is coming from. It's like not even a big deal that this happened, but like I just feel so triggered. And you can really slow down and ask yourself, what is this tied to? You can use breath, movement, dance, somatic work, like just inner child work, and focus on meeting. It's like you're meeting someone, a part of you, and asking. Like you can say, who is here? That's part of parts work. Internal family systems, if you've ever heard of that. And you meet it instead of resisting it. Because usually when we resist it, that's when we create this subconscious pattern in our lives. So in order to release that resistance, it's meeting it and welcoming it and asking it what it wants to tell you. And it doesn't have to be more complicated than that, because usually it's this part that is fighting for your attention. And that's that discomfort in your body. It's like this resistant feeling, this tension, this lack of freedom. We are always free, but there's this judgment that's living in us and a part of us that wants to be forgiven and that wants to be loved. And so the way that I'm dealing with that is by writing a letter to my friend. You know what? Writing a letter to myself and forgiving myself and feeling way more free, because there's not this underlying tension that I just have been repressing for so many years. That's just dis-ease. It creates dis-ease. So remember that self-compassion is very key here. When anything comes up that you experience, that you experience that is feeling like it's just like hard to deal with, watch your words. Don't say it's hard, because that creates this like block feeling inside of you. It could be challenging, and it could be something that you just get curious about, and you welcome it, and you face it, and you ask it, and you love it, and you move through it, and you expand, and your soul, your higher self is dancing and is cheering you on through this, because ultimately your higher self brought on this challenge and this circumstance in order for you to see more clearly where you are buying into limitation and lies and judgment of yourself, because we are ultimately pure light and we are love. We are pieces of God. We are children of God. We are creators. And when we do not take the responsibility, when we do not get inquisitive about why we're creating things that we don't want to see, then we are taking away our own empowerment. We're taking away our own power to create, to recreate, to uncreate, and to dissolve any of these limitations or illusions of lack of freedom, because we are free. But where are we buying into the stories that we are not? And usually that lives so deep within. And when we can honor ourselves by using compassion and curiosity, we can dissolve it really, really fast. So we are remembering who we really are. And through these layers that we are shedding, it becomes more and more clear. And it becomes easier to dissolve these things when they come up immediately. It doesn't have to take years. It doesn't have to take hours. If we take the time to slow down more often throughout our days, these things will dissolve almost naturally. And that will become a new pattern of welcoming in the discomfort so it moves through quickly. And we can learn more about ourselves and honor all of these parts that are hanging on for dear life, or that, the ego or the inner child, or these parts that are just holding so much judgment towards ourselves, and we can let that go. Okay, so I hope this episode resonated with you. The law of reflections is a powerful one. And when we can remember that we are reflected back, our thoughts and beliefs and our patterns and everything we're holding, everything that we are holding in our energy field, that's what we're reflecting back. Our energy field holds so much memory, and it can be a lot of beautiful memories. It could be a lot of beautiful stories, but it could also be a lot of judgment. And so when we are reflected back certain things, let's just welcome that in and view ourselves through the lens of our higher self with that love, and let these things dissolve so we can feel more and more free. So let me know how this episode resonated with you today. I would love to hear from you in my DMs. You can email me. I have a free community circle coming up on April 6th. It's a Zoom call. And if you have anything you want to share, for me, it's, everything my family is going through, and I'm not with my family, and just sharing what I'm going through with my brother, and certain things that have come up that have been uncomfortable, and just feeling that support from community. That's what this call is for. It could be if you want to come and just witness and hold space, you can come, and, you don't have to share, or maybe you do, whatever it is, come as you are. If you're feeling like a mess, please come. If you're feeling all put together and beautiful, please come. It doesn't matter. Anything in between. So I'll leave the link below if you want to sign up for that. That is April 6th, on Sunday, April 6th. And we'll see how this one goes. I might have more. And I just want to give back, especially through this reflection of, girl, the support was not there, and that was on your end. And again, I say this with compassion for myself, and I did as best as I could. And so many revelations coming through my brother's diagnosis, and just everything that has been uncomfortable. And I'm just so grateful to be able to share these experiences to help anyone out there who might be experiencing anything like this. And we can always get through it. We can get through it. We can get through it. And we can get through it together if you want to come to this circle. And if you want to join Tarot Intuition Mastery, you still can. I'm hosting the first live classes tomorrow, which is April 3rd. And I'm really excited to meet the new people, to do readings, and I just cannot wait. So I'll leave my email below. Thank you for liking, subscribing, sharing, commenting. Maybe there's a friend that could use this episode. And Until next time, I love you guys.